Hi, your Pinks, it's your girl Pinky, and I'm coming to do a highly requested video. Now, this video sometimes can get emotional for me, but I prayed about it, and I think it's the right time for me to share it now because I think I may be able to get through it. So, as I tell you this story, please keep me up in prayer. Please be respectful. It's not for you ladies to hear this and you know feel sorry, or it's not for a pity party or nothing like that. A lot of ladies said that they wanted to know why I am the way that I am, why I say let no one steal your joy, why I make the comment that life is hard but death is easy, and some other things that I transitioned and went through, and why I'm so joyful and so forgiving majority of the time. At least I try to be. And I've done this video 2 times before, but a few ladies say that they aren't able to find it, so I've decided to go ahead and upload this video one more again. This I'm saying it may be my last time. I'm trying to stick with that, but you never know. I'm getting ready to share the story with you ladies of why I am the way I am, besides me being blessed, and how my father was diagnosed and passed away from ALS. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. It's been over 4.5, 5 years, 5.5 years now since I lost my father. I do still have my mother. My mother is still living. And I have quite a huge family. I do have one sister, and I have tons of brothers. You ladies don't want me to get to counting on that, but just know I have more than 10 brothers. And I was working at the first black insurance company known here in LA, at Golden State Mutual Life Insurance. You can Google that and find it. It was shut down due to the president and some other folks doing some bogus stuff. So it hurt a lot of people in the pocket, and we were laid off, and we did get unemployment for a while, but then that's a long story. But during the time that I was working at Golden State Mutual Life Insurance Company, I was a document processing specialist slash a floater. So I dealt with like beneficiaries, and I ran machines. I did a lot of scanning. I did customer service. I worked with payments. I sent insurance gentlemen and ladies out to sell insurance, but they weren't freeze calls. They would go somewhere to elderly people that couldn't get out to pay their bill, or who wanted to add or change things, so forth. So I did that type of work at the last place that I did work, and it was a fun company. I made great money, great people, great friends there. It was awesome. And I received a call from my cousin, and she made the comment of how am I holding up since my pop was in the hospital. Now, mind you, before I go into this as well, my father is from Belize, and therefore you may hear me say some names or terminology that you may not recognize, but I'm going to try to not do that so I won't confuse anyone. But my father, we called him Pop. My grandmother, we call her Mija. My uncles, we call them Unky. And there's certain things that we may say different, like they say some people have their different way of talking and their slang and so forth, and Belizeans speak different languages besides being from Belize. There's Creole, and then there's Spanish and so forth. But getting back to the story, I was at work and I got the phone call. I didn't know what she was talking about. My brothers, no one had heard of anything happening with my father, but come to find out, my Pop made everyone promise not to say anything. But my cousin realized that his condition was getting worse, and she thought that we knew. So she was calling to see what my next move, or our next move, was going to be. And I told her, I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, well, Unky's in the hospital and he's not doing too well. They've moved him over here and they're thinking about transferring him to a hospice. And I'm like, what? So I immediately dropped the phone and I started screaming and hollering. And I was just like, please, Lord, don't take my father, not my pop, please, please, please. And I was begging. I fell to my knees, and I knocked everything off my desk and I just went ballistic because me and my father had the best daughter father relationship there was, hands down. And my manager, supervisor at the time, came over and picked me up, started praying with me, rocking me back and forth. And, I left. I was like, I just have to go. Thank God I had all this vacation time and sick time left, so I was able to use all of that. That's why I said it was a great company. They didn't give me any problems. And I was able to get a flight out within 2 days because my father did not reside in Cali. He resided in another state because he had got remarried. And I get to the hospital where he is, and once again, I start throwing up. I'm feeling blank. I mean, I'm feeling, just discombobulated. My thoughts aren't together because when I look through the window, I just see this big bubble wrap, just plastic everywhere, all these tubes, and I see this small man, and I see his wife standing over him with this mask on and these gloves, and I'm just freaking out like, what is this all about? And it was just unbearable. It was the hardest thing I had ever seen. It was horrible. It was horrific. So I get in and they're saying, okay, when you go in there, because your father is at a stage now to where it's really critical. He can't have any germs, nothing, nobody breathing on him or nothing. You have to wear a face mask. You have to wear a hat. You have to wear all these gloves and such. And I'm like, wow. So once I get there, I want to know the story on how all of this happened and how long had he been in the hospital. So he had been in the hospital already for a week, but his condition was getting worse, and they put him in ICU. The ICU was saying that they couldn't do anything for him, so then they wanted to send him to a hospice. And from my understanding, my Mima, which is his mom, and my pop-pop was saying, no, there's no way we're going to go to a hospice. We'll find out how to get this oxygen machine to his mom's house, and he wanted to go to his old bedroom. He said if anything happens to him, that's where he wanted to be. So, there was arrangements made for that. But I stepped to the side while everybody was in another room waiting on doctors to come back with results and information. And my uncle was like, let me explain to you what happened and how long this had been taking place. So I was like, okay. So he said that for about a month or so, my father had been complaining about his lower back, that his lower back was aching. He was in all these sharp pains and this and that, and he started to hunch over when he walked or when he worked, and he couldn't lift anything and whatnot. And they kept taking him to the hospital, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him, so they gave him pills, they gave him a back brace and so forth, and just told him that he would have to be more of a dictator than work hands-on until they figured out the solution to the problem. And eventually, to make a long story short, he had to stop working. My dad owned his own construction company. He worked construction, owned his own janitorial service. So therefore, that's why he was able to dictate to his workers what needed to be done and where. So he ended up going to my grandmother's house one night to watch the game, and they were cooking dinner. And my grandmother said that he couldn't lay or sit up. He couldn't lay on his side, he couldn't lay on his back, he couldn't sit up in a chair or on the couch. So therefore, the only way he was comfortable and could endure the pain is if he laid flat on his stomach with his head turned to the direction towards the TV with a pillow. And they were getting ready to eat. Everyone was getting up, and my uncle said he called out to him, John, come get your food. And my uncle said as he was walking, my pop-pop was saying, okay, something's not right. I'm feeling numb. I'm not feeling good. And they were like, okay, well, get your plate. Maybe you just need to eat something. So they said when he got in the kitchen, he was holding on to the counter, and my uncle made him his plate and gave him his food, and he turned his back to him, and he just heard the plate fall on the floor. And he said he looked around, of course, when you hear noise, to see what was going on. He turned and looked around, and he saw the plate fell on the floor, and he asked my pop-pop, what's wrong? Why did you drop the plate? And he was like, I can't hold it. Something's wrong. Something feels funny. And he was like, okay, well, you may need to eat something. I'm going to give you another plate. Try to hold this plate, and I'm going to help you get back to the front room to where you can sit down so you can eat. And he was like, I don't think I'll be able to sit down. My back is hurting so bad. So my uncle said when he turned around to give him the other plate, my father had his hands extended like such. He went to put the plate in my father's hand, which he did, and he said the plate just fell because my father's hands was just limb. When you put it in his hand, it just dropped like this. So there was no longer fillings in his hand, and it was just dangling. And they said they would push it up, and it would just drop back down again. So they was like, what is going on? So they was like, we're getting ready to take you to the emergency room. And my Pop said, okay, yeah, we need to go because I'm telling you something's not right. So they said my Pop turned around to take a step to walk back towards the couch. And before he could do that, his legs gave out on him, both of them. He fell forward, fell front, fell flat to his face, broke his nose. He lost teeth, broke his teeth, and his lips was busted. And he couldn't move. At this point, he said, I have no feeling. He said, I don't feel anything. And my uncles, they picked him up, put him in the car, rushed him to the room. He had been in the hospital since, and they were trying to diagnose what was wrong with him. After a week later, they figured out it was ALS. Everyone has a different form or can get a different form of ALS. My father's form was where he was losing all his senses, but the doctors told us that he would still have his sight and he would be in his right state of mind, so he would know who he was talking to. He would know you, hear you, understand you, physically be able to pinpoint who you are and say what he needed to say, but that he was going to pass. The bacteria was going to eat at him to his body deteriorate and all his organs shut down. And we were trying to figure out like what could we do, and they was like, it's at this point to where it's really bad, we want to put him in a hospice. And we were figuring that's not an option, we got to figure out something. So mind you, by the time I saw my father, just to give you a description, we almost couldn't have an open casket because my father was so skinny. There really wasn't no presentation, so he had to be stuffed, and they had to stuff body parts, and they had to stuff his suit. My dad wore a mask, oxygen mask, because he couldn't talk not 2 seconds without it, and this was providing him with oxygen and air for him to breathe and converse through the machine. So in order to conversate with him or to hear him, you had to take your ear and put it up to his mask that was over his face, and it had the Velcro on the sides, and it went through a tube and it connected to the oxygen tank. And ladies, that was the worst feeling ever. My father had to be like 220, no more than 250, and before he passed away he was about 98 pounds. Horrible feeling, worst feeling ever. I was sick to my stomach, worst sight. I didn't know what to do. I had my brothers, everybody had flown out by this time, and other family members was there. I was the last person to see him. And the last thing my father said to me, and this is what I say to you ladies, he told me, let no one steal your joy. I want you to change and be happy. I want you to learn to forgive. You may not forget, but I want you to learn to forgive. I want you to be happy and enjoy the blessings that you have. And he said, always remember that life is hard, but death is easy. I never knew what he meant by that. And he was like, listen to what I'm saying. Life is hard, but death is easy. Mind you, my ear being up to this mask is taking him forever in a day to tell me what it is he had to say. But now I'm able to verbally say it to you ladies, just flat out, point blank. I was like, life is hard, but death is easy. I was like, Papa, is your medicine kicking in? What's going on? And he was like, listen. And he started crying. And I was like, okay. And he was like, and tell your brothers this. Take care of my grandbabies, raise all my grandkids the same way, this and that. And he was like, but listen to me. He was like, what I mean by life is hard, but death is easy. Life, you're going to encounter many of things. You're going to have people treat you wrong, but you can forgive and forget and walk away from a situation. You're going to fall in love, and people are going to hurt you. You may find the love of your life. You're going to go through some trials and tribulations through life, and you may not understand, but you get to survive and live another day and take advantage of the small things that you think are not important, such as being able to walk, to clean yourself, to wipe your face, to run up and down the street, to walk up and back and forth up a flight of steps. He was like, life is going to be hard. You're going to have your trials and tribulations and you're going to be tested, but you're still blessed. You can wake up and forgive somebody. He was like, if that situation wasn't that minor or that major, you forgive that person. You pray and you go to that person and you talk it out. And if you can't work it out, you still be cordial, but you walk away. You live to see another day. And you be a blessing to someone. You smile and you thank God for everything. And I understood that. And then he was like, what I mean by death is hard. He was like, it's hard for me lying here dying. There's nothing that I can do. He was like, every time I close my eyes, I don't know if I'm going to wake up to be able to see you, my mom. He was like, do you know a week ago I was able to play with my grandkids? I was able to clean myself. I was able to feed myself, taste what a hot cup of coffee would taste like. He was like, now I can't experience any of that. He was like, I'm just laying here waiting to die. And I don't know when I'm going to die. And my father cried and cried. I can't, ladies, no longer talk about it. I'm getting really emotional. I love you, ladies. I hope you understand, how things can go for ALS. It's called the Lou Gehrig's disease, what my father had. You can look that up and Google it. I can no longer talk about it. I'm getting really emotional, but that's why I am happy, and I'm always trying to be a blessing and love others, and I'm going to continue to do that, and I'm going to keep that promise to my father, and I'm going to keep that promise to you ladies. So God bless you. Thank you for loving me. Pinkee loves you, and I'll talk to all you beautiful ladies later. I'm hurting right now. I'm getting ready to cry, and it's really hard for me to talk about. So just please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. If any of you ladies have experienced this with family, friends, and whomever, I truly understand how you feel. I will definitely keep you in prayer. I'm always praying for you lovely ladies and your family and friends. And all of you ladies, please be kind to one another. It's okay to be loving and respectful, okay? God bless, and I'll talk to you ladies later. Mwah.